What's going on with Ripple and XRP? Community? World Crypto Finance. Today is Wednesday, November 23rd, and Thanksgiving is just one day away. As you know, I can't wait. I'm going to stuff my face with turkey like you've never seen before. The amount of turkey I'll eat will be a world record. Now, if I told you I had a great video planned for you, what would you think? I want you to grab your coffee, soda, or whatever you drink, because we're going to talk about Ripple, how to make it a household name, what's going on, and how the SEC is just putting things off and kicking the can down the road. But you can't stop what's going to happen. And that's what's happening. They can only make them go more slowly. This is what we've been saying since the lawsuit began. They just want to slow Ripple down. But you can only slow down a company for so long, because they will keep growing. And they're going to keep connecting all these different remitters around the world, all these different banks around the world, working with all these different central banks around the world, and getting them all on the RippleNet software, the products, and getting them all connected to the interledger protocol, because at the end of the day, all these other governments and central banks around the world don't care that the SEC is trying to call XRP a security. And, folks, this is a very important point. XRP has already been called a currency, and the tactics that the SEC is using to slow it down are not only talked about, but also disgust me. We know about the obvious wrongdoing. But it won't work forever because the laws will end sooner rather than later. When the lawsuit is over, XRP will go crazy like you've never seen it go crazy before. Remember when Colin used to run and you would say, "Oh, Colin's going to run wild on you." Well, XRP is going to do that. Folks, all you have to do is get ready and relax, because it's going to happen. We will also talk about a letter that was sent to FTX employees about the very interesting fact that FTX got more Fox Business coverage. Then we'll talk about the money of Ripple's new partner 3 and who they work with in the UK. Things are getting hot, but don't worry, I've got you covered. We'll go to Live Coin Watch. What are we seeing? You can hear my dog barking in the background because he has to bring his toy into the office and he just runs out and barks. He can be heard on the video, then. That leaves them alone. Bitcoin is worth $16,499. In the last 24 hours, it has gone up 4.2%. Ethereum at $1,163 is up almost 6% in the last 24 hours. USDT and USDC are moving away from their dollar pegs, while XRP at 37 cents is still up 2% in the last 24 hours. The total value of the cryptocurrency market is $845 billion, and Bitcoin holds about 37.48% of that value. Not bad at all. Now, let's put this out there. A letter from FBF saying that Sam Baker was freed was sent to the FTX employees here today. Let's just look at some of this quickly. What do you say? Let me go back to the beginning of this page. What happened makes me very sad. I'm sorry that all of you had to go through what you did. And I feel terrible about what happened to my customers. You did everything you could for FTX and stuck by me and the company. This guy, on the other hand, is doing all of these illegal things while he has his money. I didn't want any of this to happen, and it didn't. I would give anything to be able to go back and do things again. Because you're going to jail, of course you would. You know that you're going to jail. You were related to me. I dropped it. Now, Old Home is a warehouse full of empty monitors. I can't talk to anyone when I turn around. I let you all down, and when things went wrong, I couldn't talk to you. I didn't say anything when there was pressure, leaks, and the Binance. I lost track of the most important things and forgot to vote in the chaos of company growth. I cared a lot about you all, and you were like my family. I'm sorry, but as CEO, it was my job to make sure that in the end, FTX did the right thing. I wish I had paid more attention. I want to tell you more about what happened, because I didn't understand it as well as I should have when I wrote it down. Pearson puts things together and estimates them. Right now, I don't have access to all the data I need to get exact answers, and everything is being marked to market regardless of liquidity. I think that one of the things that led to the breakdown this month was a market crash in the spring, which caused the value of the collateral to drop by 50%, from 60 billion collateral $2 billion in loans to 30 billion collateral $2 billion in loans. Most of the industry's credit is drying up, but one company has about $8 billion in liabilities and $25 billion in assets as collateral. In November, there was a hypercorrelated crash that caused the value of collateral to drop by about 50% in a very short amount of time. During that time, the market had very few bits on liquidity. A run on the banks was caused by the same attack as in November, and as we rushed to put everything together, it became clear that the position was bigger than what admin users saw because of old fiat deposits made before FTX and bank accounts. I never wanted this to happen, and I didn't realize the full extent of the margin-punished position or how big the risk was from a hypercorrelated crash. Most of the loans and second-hand sales were used to put money back into the business, such as to buy up more capital, and not for a lot of personal spending. The most interesting thing about this is that he says these attacks are linked. Someone almost seems to have wanted FTX to fail. Now, you might be wondering why they would want FTX to fail. What did Kevin O'Leary say back in June or July? I've already shown you the clip. And, folks, he's been around for a while. He knows about the stock market and the crypto era, and he said, you need one of the big boys to fail and get liquidated before the space can really take off. Why does that happen? It's easy. What will happen because of what happened with FTX? Consider this. You're finally going to have the FCC or the DOJ on a treasury, whoever steps in, take over crypto and regulate the living crap out of it for many years. This might sound bad and scary, but it's not. Me and you can only take this crypto space as high as we can. And now that FTX is no longer in the picture, I wouldn't be surprised if we could get this back up to about 1.2 trillion. I'd be very surprised if we could get it back up to train. What do we need, then? Do we need rules? Why do we need regulations? Once the space is regulated, the institutions with the big money will come in and help support this market, making it more stable. I have always preached about this, and I still do so to my clients. This cryptocurrency market won't always be like the Wild West. I'm sure that by 2025, this problem will be fixed and sorted out, and we won't see these coins pumping 800,000%. Again, I really do think that, so it's really interesting. It's almost like Sandpaper Free is turning into a little snitch or wisdom blower when he says that these crashes were very related. It's worth a look. Here's how the FTX customers are spread out around the world. This 22% was mostly made up of Cayman Islands. And crypto analysts said, we'll be fine. Plan C said 5 months ago that the SE collapse was caused by SPF and FTX Amida research. Because they were caught in the Luna bailout. They swapped 50 stakes of Ethereum for 50 stakes of Ethereum. I wouldn't be surprised, I'll tell you, as this thing gets bigger and more complicated. We're going to find out about all of these people's bad behavior. Now I'd like to go to this tracking with Qs. Ripple uses 3Money and has teamed up with Crown Agents Bank UK to offer more than 35 new currencies, including the hard-to-get Brazilian real and West African franc, as well as access to 45 local payment rails. Very fascinating, isn't this great? But who is using who? And the PL3 pieces are using CIB to add more currencies to the platform, not the other way around. CAB knows how to reach multiple markets with just one API. They seem like they might be able to work together and could be a good fit for Ripple. In fact, they are linked to other Ripple users like Corpay, but in the same way S3S to follow the trail a little bit further in 2016. CAB was bought by a UK company called Helios Investment, which invests in Africa. Pylos also owned the majority of Fairway, a money transfer company that uses Ripple, especially in Egypt and the United Arab Emirates, where ODL is lives. What can we learn from Miss Rafts? maybe nothing, but we do have a lot more questions. It's really tempting to see the three at the mouth and right after Ripple announce OTL, Brazil, and Africa. There's nothing to back this up. And that's all the relationship has now. That's how every casual relationship starts, by the way. And we know about some big news in Africa because I talked to the company that makes mobile wallets about it. All of them are going to switch to XRP and on-demand liquidity. So, the settlement ended up working with Ripple and the software. Now, I want you to listen to this, because it was due back in February. It says that banks have sued Ripple to slow them down and buy time to make their own Ripple/XRP knockoff, but they fail, and Ripple is going to become a household name, so listen. And the US government sued Ripple Labs for another reason that didn't make sense. David was only there to slow them down. When they keep putting things off, they are just slowing things down. Because the bank robbers aren't ready, I don't know, maybe I'll say something brave. And I just used my own language. The bank robbers are good at both stealing and killing. They aren't good at making software. Neil Keenan was killed and replaced, which is just one example. He was crazy about old bonds backed by gold. They kill people all the time. They killed one of my source's close friends in Europe, who was a close friend of his. My friend was really shaken up by it. The banksters sued XRP and Ripple Labs to buy time, not so much to hold them back as to, well, it's two reasons. One, to stop the development of Ripple Labs, but it didn't work because they're still working. And the other reason is to buy time for the banksters to come up with something similar using the intellectual property so they can say, we have our own Ripple, we don't need yours, but they failed. Now, they say, we need your Ripple. We're going to make a deal with you, and we're going to have a timetable and a schedule. It's going to be 18 to 24 months, and that's our chord. It shows that the banksters didn't come up with a system like XRP. And the same thing happened with Reggie Middleton. They failed to build the foundations for digital financial structures like banks, bond markets, and stock markets. It has everything. So, in a way, their future is already decided. Their fate is set in stone, and they joined the digital system. I agree with this, too. You said that these banks tried to make their own product and copy what Ripple was doing, but they couldn't provide the liquidity that was needed. Why are they able to offer liquidity? Well, they could provide liquidity on currency, but it would have to come from everywhere in the world. That means they need to make all of these different partnerships around the world. But you know that banks like JP Morgan Chase are very greedy and want to control everything. Well, you want to work with these other banks around the world and in the country, and you're telling them that you want them to buy your stablecoin, like the JPM coin. They won't do it because they don't want your JPM coin in their hands. They want to have their own digital property. So there really wasn't a bridge. We call that a walled garden. Consider that. David Schwartz talked for a long time about this. It is all making sense. Folks, get ready to buckle up, and I swear we'll go for the rest of our lives. Listen, keep your hands to yourselves, be nice to each other, and then we'll call this out.